Welcome to the Climate Hive webcast, What Do You Solve? I'm Kevin Drolet, aka Kedro, and I'm here with my co-host, Climate Hive co-founder, Mike Higgins, aka Higo. We're really super excited about our guest today, Wahid Hossain. He is the co-director of Climate Innovation Challenge, CIC. He founded Tiger Bow, an ethical fashion and for ethical fashion, and he co-founded PathFinder for SDGs with consulting experience in the UNDP Bangladesh, U.S. Embassy Dhaka, and the Philippines. He is very busy. He's done a lot of stuff and he's doing a lot of amazing things. And let me just tell you a little bit about Climate Innovation Challenge. And then, of course, Wade will tell us a lot more. The Climate Innovation Challenge is a dynamic virtual program dedicated to advancing sustainable development goals. Today, the CIC has empowered four cohorts of 120 university students representing 54 educational institutions across 24 countries to co-develop innovation solutions to sustainability problems brought to the CIC by 14 leading climate organizations. So a lot of important networking and work being done there. The program is built to foster international collaboration among students seeking to advance climate action. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Higo and let him launch the first question. But thank you so much, Wahid, for joining us today. We're very excited to talk to you.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. Wahid, so much fun to be here, finally chatting. There was a world that existed before the Climate Innovation Challenge, right? And then there was you guys and your collective insights and what you saw. Would you just share with us those early beginnings around the inspiration, for this, what you recognized as something that was missing, an opportunity, and then really move into, that problem that you're solving as a result of that?
Thank you, Kevin and Mike. I'm very happy to be part of this journey to this podcast and sharing my experience with the Climate Innovation Challenge. Well, it's not like suddenly we decided to start Climate Innovation Challenge. We had our own past, some of the things that we experienced. We have three co-founders in this organization. I am from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and my another co-founder is Sherry Zui. She's based in Philadelphia. She's Chinese, but studying in the US for more than 10 years since her high school. And then we have another co-founder based in Sydney. She is, her full-time job is working for Deloitte as a consultant. So we three are coming. I can share my own experience that what actually motivates me to in this particular position. So since my childhood, my education is mostly based in Dhaka in Bangladesh. So the education is something I really enjoy to do this. I had a lot of motivation to go to school and study, but unfortunately, I cannot relate what I'm studying in the classes and what is the application in the real world. So I always struggle to get the balance between what I actually looking for and what my school is actually expecting me to deliver, but I was not able to do that. So things were a little difficult. So when first time I had the chance to travel US for Resolution Project fellowships, I participated in Social Venture Challenge back in 2014, and I was a undergrad student at that point in a Bangladeshi university. So I experienced that the education, the meaning that I always look for, I probably found it because there I see that people are more passionate to go to the school. They know how to apply these things in real world and the real problem solving. So I understand that this is a story of many of the students in Bangladesh or maybe other developing countries who are struggling with the system itself, because that except the developed country, still like most of the countries education system is following lecture-based learning, and statistics says that 75% of the lecture-based learning content student cannot recall it, and it has less meaning. So that how much pressure it is for us to write this thing in the exam, and also always having this confusion that whether I'm good enough to survive in this world with the skills that I'm trying to learn, or there is something missing. So fast forward in next few years, I've been involved with the youth empowerment and educational system. And reason behind the climate is we all know that how devastating the climate emergency is situation for all of these nations. As my 30 plus years of life experience being in this world, I see changes. Right now is January, and I'm wearing just a simple T-shirt. It's supposed to be winter, right? In Dhaka, but we don't see winter more than a week, proper winter, I'm saying. Uh, when I was a kid, I remember that my mom and the family member put me in the closet at the top of the closet because I was small. I have to get all those blankets. But this is even in December, we do not bring back our, I mean, like put back our blankets anymore because the winter is not coming. And also, when I had the chance to travel in the other part of the world, I see that it's not just a problem of Bangladesh or my neighboring countries with the extremely heat weather. It is also another way it is affecting other part of the world, like extended winter in US or some other countries, which is unusual, and the summer is shorter. So we all know that this is very simple, like it's not complicated science. You need to know before you understand this. In last past years, we have seen extreme heat wave happen during the summer, and summer is very extensive. Unusual floods happen. The frequency of devastating cyclones are more. Like in my first 20 years in this world, I see like every 5 to 7 years there is a one devastating cyclone or flood, tornado, something like this happen in Bangladesh. But now it's like every 1 or 2 years we have seen this, and it caused life. It destroy our properties, resources, and it mostly affected by the marginalized community. And in the same story in the other part of the world. And in some point, I know that the developed country do not try to understand this very often because they have money, they have technology, they can easily change situation. But gradually things are going out of our control. Like no money and no technology is going to help us to overcome this. So when we come together, like three of the co-founder based in different part of the world, we discussed like we want to help uh, educate youth, especially creating leaders who are not only drive towards creating more money, rather creating impact to their community and the society and the world. What can unite all of us? Because we strongly felt that empathy and connectivity is very important to the current state of the world. Without knowing each other and having love and care for each other and empathy for each other, I don't think that world can skip war and many other conflicts that we have. So we had a mission that we need to figure out that thing, and climate is something we all care, and which is it is interconnected to each other. It's not like uh, okay, something is happening for Bangladesh, it's going to only impact to Bangladesh as a positive way. It has an indirect impact to the other part of the world. That's why these are the real motivation behind us when we started.
Can you tell us a little bit, like, and maybe even tell like a specific story about the work of CIC? Like, what is it that you're doing, and how what might be a good particular story you can tell about a project that the students have worked on, and where you've gotten that challenge from, that help our listeners understand exactly what you're doing at CIC.
So, I mean, in Climate Innovation Challenge, over the years, we have many experiences. The latest data we have, like we worked with 18 climate startups, and there are plenty of students, 120 students coming from many part of the world. So, as you
And
know,
just really quick, are those startups in the global south, global north, or everywhere?
so out of this 18 startups, the statistic we have is like 56% is from the global north and 44% are global south.
Okay.
From global north, we have from startups from Canada, US, UK, and New Zealand. And from south is from Bangladesh, Kenya, Nigeria, and a few other countries we have. So the one example that we like to share, which is like, it's not necessarily like a startup which is up and running and where our students are working for a particular piece of that startups. There are examples that the startups had just only idea, not even MVP. So there is example like Bangladeshi startup called EcoWave who wants to make recyclable plastic bags for trash bins, because plastic waste is a big issue for Bangladesh and it's not possible. Economic condition for our economic system cannot afford biodegradable and other solutions which are expensive. If we adapt to this, many of the necessity goods going to be expensive, and many of the marginalized community is going to be impacted by the inflation of that product price increase. So the eco wave is one of the option, and they have the idea like, look, we have plenty of waste, and everyone is talking about, from the government to the big institution to individual level, we hate it, but we all are consuming it. And there are conversation about alternative products like jute based similar sort of plastic bags or biodegradable plastic bags which are made out of corn. Those are still fantasy for many of the people. Like nobody actually even have them in their hand, because expensive and not enough raw materials is available to produce such thing. So we cannot wait that someone will come up with a brilliant idea and overnight the plastic will be replaced by that new, more sustainable product. We have to do something like birth control of plastic, something like this. So this was the idea. So we have students from Colombia and few, I think also from one from Northwestern. There is a student who's from Bhutan, but currently that time she was studying at Bangladesh University. Then we have two students from Bangladesh, few from Pakistan, as well as African continents. So all these students, once they heard it, they want to challenge, because at the beginning they were discussing about why not biodegradable product or why not jute-based product. Then it takes some time them to understand how the economy work. Sometimes the best medicine is not ready for the economy yet. So that's something they learned at the beginning. Then they thought about like people are not that much sensitive regarding the price, although everyone is hate plastic. But when it comes to like a 1% increase of an alternative product, nobody is willing to sacrifice that 1%. So we need to understand that one end we need to make a sustainable product. Another end is like it's going to be accepted by consumer. Otherwise, it's not going to survive, and the impact is nowhere there. So they did survey, like one survey, the US students did survey through like helping on developing a right questionnaires, and the Bangladeshi did the interviews in person, because we recommend that instead of like quantitative survey is always not acceptable. Rather than you need to talk, then you learn and you'll see the real expression. So once they have
Yeah.
done it, and they're also able to realize the price sensitivity of the consumers, and also they're able to create like also they able to give a mapping of how the consumer might look like, because Bangladesh officially population is almost 180 million people we're living, but this 180 million cannot be the consumer of that particular company. And even if they want to buy it, it's not wise to sell them as a commercial point of view, because the everyone is not profitable to sell. So they make this segmentation like, okay, you need to just focus to major industries like restaurants who consume a lot of trash bin bags because of the kitchen and upfront, then hospitals, then public places like rail station and few others. So they create the whole mechanism of this. Then later the cohort N, the company used this understanding and the documents, and within 2 months they produced their first prototype. And next 7 months, now they're up and running. They're selling to two of the largest restaurant chains in Bangladesh, who combinedly consuming around 2,000 kilograms, 2 tons of
Wow,
plastic.
that's incredible.
And
Yeah, it's great.
also it's not just about recycling. Another thing is, most of the case when we throw plastic in Bangladesh, what happened, it go to large garbage section of the government. Every day they burn these garbage sections so that they can control the volume. And the theory behind of the plastic burning is like, if you burn 1 kilogram of plastic, typically it produces 2.92 kilogram of CO2. So 2000 kilogram is somehow is rescued to burned, and also not produced newly. It has been recycled. That means every month it's almost like 5,000 plus kilograms of CO2 actually reduced, just only integrating two major restaurant chains. So you can see the impact, although
Yeah.
it was smaller, but without their integration, the founder was struggling to start this business. So it helps to start the whole business.
Where's the business now? Is that something that's up, running,
Yeah,
functional? Was it able to sustain itself after they came through the Climate
So
Innovation Challenge?
the cohort actually run during 2024, January till February. So
Uh-huh.
next month, the company works on more into the finalization of that outcomes and also verify the data, like how much the market size looks like and what is the market size. Then having some initial screening with some of the potential customers. In the meantime, they also made few prototypes, like 100 pounds of kilograms of, 100 pounds of plastic bags as a sample to showcase its customers and show understanding the production capacity. From last November, I think early November, they start selling. So right now they have two customers. Now they're approaching a couple of other new restaurant chains as well as hospitals. They're expecting in next 5 to 6 months, this 2,000 kilogram monthly sales will increase to 10,000 at least, like 10 tons in a month. And the business is going to be like right now, like with the sales they have, they're break even. Like it is not they're making loss while
Yeah.
doing this.
Mhm. No, I mean, that's what a great case study there, right? In terms of the role of the CIC and what they provided, because it's so important to have those insights in advance of an MVP, right? Because it can really direct you or redirect you to understand something more concretely. So what an example of the CIC in motion, in action. Hey, we mentioned at the beginning of the global north and the global south. For those that don't understand what that is, can you just reiterate how that works and what the impacts of that are?
So in the climate in world, we have two terminology, like technical words, global south and north. North is the countries who are economically sustainable, and
Mm,
other typically you can say developed country like United States, Canada, Australia, major European countries, and few others like Japan, Singapore. These are the countries. And the global south is developing and least developing countries, like the entire Africa as a continent, majority of the
mm,
Asia, Latin America, even some of the so-called rich country. I used to think they are part of the global north. One day I had just did some more Google search and try to understand more who are actually in this list. I found UAE, Dubai is not yet global north because their
mm,
economy is new. And I think there is a mechanism behind like a certain years of being in that sort of economic situation, you can be considered as a global north. The other factors are like Gini coefficient, like income I mean, like inequality within the society, like how much money is someone, like the discrimination piece is also matter, education. So some of the other elements are also associated. So global north is mostly like developed country economically and for a longer period of time, and also the education and income discrimination is less. And global north is developing as well as least developing countries.
How on the
thank you.
I just a follow-up question on that. Like on the, what do you think people's understanding is just based on your, you've been around the world. I know you lived in the US for a little while, right? Like you've been in both places and had seen the perspective, but what do you think people need to understand more deeply about sort of this divide of global north and global south, and how does CIC, how do you play a role in that?
Well, something we need to understand that there are a lot of things we need to do, but we need to understand that which we can implement. One is like we can take a drastic decision for global south that you can't do this and that. That might save world. I mean, like save the planet for the time being or a lengthier period of time, but that will have a devastating impact to the economy, and mostly people will see poverty and hunger because the economy is not ready to accept everything. So most of the case people need to understand how much this developing and least developing, and in short global south, can sustain. On the other hand, global north is a different story. Their economy is more stronger, they have more experience, their government structure is more solid compared to the global south, so they may able to take bold decision or adapt bold technology or system, and their economy survive for sure. So this is something in a very not everyone is not required to understand in a very professional economist point of view. just a general sense, I think every human being needs to understand before demanding something, and also expectation. Another thing is often people forget that, okay, this is big, this is a duty of scientist, government, or big corporation. What is my role? You have role. We all purchase something, and we need to be very conscious before what we purchase. And we also need to demand to the companies, government, what is right for the planet, what is right for every one of us. Plus our lifestyle can make big changes. Like it might seem like what is the big difference if I'm not using carrying my own water bottle, or I'm using one time, like purchasing water every time and it comes up with a plastic bottle or something like this. Individual decision, like small step, can bring big changes. And definitely we also need to integrate, like I know that nowadays the big university is integrating this subject, like interdisciplinary engagement between the climate with the other disciplines. This is largely missing in the most of the countries in the world, because the engineers need to be more understand more of the demand of the necessity of the planet Earth, so that they can innovate better technology which either consume less energy or alternatives, something like that. Business people need to understand that how they can reduce their activities to save planet, also make sure that the business is going up and running. Lawyers need to understand how this thing works, so that they can ask big question to government or big corporation and make them accountable. Everyone, I mean, so that's
That's right.
something uh, need to be addressed and need to be understand by the people, and which is something in a border level is missing. I think we see that people are speaking very smart about climate, but those are even not even the 1% of the entire population of the world. So we need to have more and more people coming forward and I mean, their time and energy investing to this to understand more.
Yeah, I think that's very clear and very profound, right? I mean, it is a global problem. So you've created a framework, a platform, if you will, that really is enabling a lot more voices to participate in not only the problems, but also the solutions, right? And you've also created a mechanism that can help entrepreneurs turn desire into action, right? Because I think inherently we all want to act. We just don't know how, right? We all
Yeah.
want to be a part of a solution. We just don't know how. And I think things like this innovation challenge, enable us to participate. And I think that's a critical first step. So now that you guys have, you're obviously up, you're running, you've done things, you have amazing stories to tell, case studies, businesses that have benefited. So what's next? Or, like what's next for this? Is it continue to evolve, grow, add more universities? Like where do you go from here?
So one thing is like definitely we want to continue what we do. So make sure that the performance is consistent. Like often I see in my life to my other friends or networks, they build something with very passionately, and there is quality behind it, whatever industry or whatever work they do. But often when they start testing success, they lose track, and
Mm,
they degrade their quality. So I don't want this happen with us. So first thing is like retain the quality that we able to achieve. Second is constantly getting feedback from our critics, and understand that how we can make it better. Like I always, I mean, not only I mean the entire CIC always try to have people within our system who constantly criticize us and do not afraid to speak in front of our face. And that helps two things. One is like it is making us accountable, that yes, we did a lot of great things, but there are so many things we're missing. And also we understand that all criticism is not necessary for us. Like if we start listening so much critics and try to implement everything, we're not going anywhere. That's also we understand. So one thing is retention, and also from constant feedback and criticism, we try to improve it, the thing that we do. Second thing is after 2 years, when we have worked with 18 climate startups, 120 students, close collaboration between multiple universities and professors, individual resources like who worked as a mentor for the climate startups as well as students, many high level people, some capacity involved to us. We have seen that people start recognizing us. You mentioned about our website is not working, which is very sad, but people are some way connected us through the LinkedIn presence that we have. So I'm sometimes very surprised. I meet new people and they didn't even recognize, cannot believe that I'm the founder of this organization. They think it's done by someone in West, and West thinks something else. So it is getting somewhere. The thing is, during this conversation, I see that people are really want to work with us. They
Mm.
either they think that if we come together, things can go fast and be effective. Another group thinks that we may able to help them to solve some of the critical piece. So, for example, when I was an undergrad student, my Bangladesh University undergrad education system is that the last semester you have to do real internship. That's a 3 credit you have to carry for that. I used to work for one of the largest marketing company of Bangladesh, who has 14 different business unit. They solve
Mm.
all the marketing problem to you, like BTL, ATL, social media marketing. Then they have a dedicated social media agency for development industries like UN, USAID, this sort of thing. So they're the largest in the country. So after many years, almost like 10 years, they reach out to me that, Wahid, we know that you do a great stuff in the development piece, and some of the things are related to climate. As we're a marketing agency, we're struggling to evolve because there are startup cultures that there two students create their own marketing agency, and they can
Right.
bid cheaper price to my customers, and which we can't do as a big company. So we want to evolve, and also we know that our customers, consumers, both has a demand for sustainability. So we do not understand this piece. Can you and your organization help us to develop a new unit which can dedicatedly work on this? And as a business, we survive. On the other hand, we are able to do what is necessary for this system for sustainability. So this is coming from a pure commercial point of view, inquiry, and looking for support from our side, and they're happy to work with us closely. Similarly, the past climate startups that we worked, many of them are looking support from us, like not just giving some students and like programmatic approach, rather than implementation partner. And they're happy to share profits or interest with us. That's something they offer. Why they feel that we are the one, like there is expertise on something else, but they see that our expertise is the interdisciplinary
Mhm.
engagement, like government, like institutions like UN or other large institutions, and they look for our support. So why I'm sharing this, because we felt like now as an organization we're working on these things as a fundamental value and the system of ourselves, like how we would like to increase the real impact of our work beyond the education, beyond that consultancy piece, because we think that those are the starting point of the whole journey. But there are other pieces, and we need to identify them. We need to create roadmaps that, okay, this is how we want to go. And it is not just for the expansion of CIC as an organization. If we see the climate piece, like there are many, I mentioned earlier that all of us are actually engaged, somehow involved to this. So if we see as a pieces, like a big ecosystem partners or stakeholders to the whole thing, one is definitely the government, then the large policy organizations like UN or a few others. Then there are
Mhm.
corporate who are involved to this. Then there are politicians, there are media, there are many other pieces. So if we are not able to help each of these pieces to realize their real potential, to shift the whole thing. I'm not saying that the corporates will shut down their business and only sell they will become fully socially responsible. Then who is going to give jobs for everyone? How the food will create? I mean, how who will bring the food for everyone's table? So we need corporations, but we need to understand. I mean, we need a different system where corporate can continue their work in one side. Also, they're not making the negative impacts they're doing. I know it sounds very vague, but that vague answer we need to find as fast as possible. So this is where we are actually, as an organization at this moment, uh, thinking about to expand ourselves. Maybe we'll need few more months to decide. Like we are thinking about research. Research in not an academic way that it has a lot of wording and only the people who like to study, they only do. It is going to be useful for individuals to start a new startup. This is going to be
Mm.
useful for government to understand how these things work. On the other hand, we also wanted to create Climate Studio to support commercially to different companies to help them to realize their circularity or sustainability path.
What so on that, like, can you give us some particularities for, let's say, 2025, right? In terms of, do you have goals for growth of students and cohorts for CIC? And also, I mean, I'm just curious, and I think because people would like to help, I'm sure, in what you're doing. What are some of the real direct challenges? So, just maybe those are two different questions, but what does 2025 look like? What are some of the goals and what are some of the challenges that CIC is going to face?
So 2025, we definitely wanted to structure our 2 years fast. That is something we want to develop. We know we need to know that what is our roadmap looks like. One is like, as I said, CIC's current system. That's something we want to stick with it. Another thing is the research studio or something else, if we whatever we want to do, because we have so many queries from different stakeholders and asking us that we can help. So we're experimenting with those questions within our system and realize, and we want to finalize this thing between March. That's one of the priority for us. So apart from this, definitely we want to increase the number of students. Currently we do 2 cohorts. Each cohort can accommodate 30 students, and each cohort can accommodate 4 startups. So in a year, we are working with 60 students and 8 startups. Uh,
Mm.
we One end we thought like, shall we increase the numbers of student and the number of startups? Then we realized that the beauty of the CIC is like knowing each other very deeply. And when you increase these numbers, it's going to be not possible. So it is mostly like going to work as like a autopilot mode. So that is something we don't want to. So we want to stick with that numbers and those things. We don't want to mess with those things. But we also understand that there are many other students who really need our help, and also startups or other system. So how can we do that? One is that we are experimenting with some other model. Like one right now is our current model is like students working as an entrepreneur for existing organizations, right? So the solution is going to be adapted by a company which is already exist. But there are also students who are having more entrepreneurial mindset, like I want to create my own innovation and I want to start my own. So this approach, we we thought about like maybe we try with this and see how it goes, like how effectively we can help the students and how many students we get. And specifically want to target to do this in East Asia and Australia as a region, because our program is right now is virtual, and the time zone that we follow can easily accommodate students coming from Central Asia, Middle East, Southeast
Mm.
Asia, Africa, United States, or North America, Europe, and Latin America. But for East Asia, countries like Japan, China, Singapore, Cambodia, Australia, New Zealand, this is very odd timing for them. So we want to work for them. Instead of the current CIC model, we want to experiment with something new. If that works, we'll continue with them. If not, maybe in 2026 we will launch CIC cohort the way we do for specifically for that region. So then it will become like 3 cohorts a year. Then add up the no numbers to the students. And for the challenges, definitely when we're thinking about expanding new areas like East Asia as well as Australia, majority of our key stakeholders who provide in-kind support or resources to CIC is not going to, they're not able to do this because of the time difference. Like if I ask Kevin and Climate Hive to help me, it's going to be difficult for you. Like 3 a.m. at morning, you have to do it. So we cannot
I'm,
expect.
I'm getting after it at 3
I'm just
a.m.
giving example.
I'm working hard. Let me tell you.
I'm ready.
No, I know that, but I'm just giving an example that it's not realistically feasible, right? Like professionally doing it. So we are looking for new partners in this region. So Australia is one of the, and I would like to share through this podcast that we're doing a in-person event to understand the ecosystem and having initial conversation, like a open networking session going to happen on 22nd of February in Sydney. So where we are going to meet some universities like UNSW, expecting Sydney University also participate, few other organizations, if they can join us, like Kevin recommended Climate Salad. My co-founder is actually have a discussion with them. So we are looking for new partners. So once we have this, I think it's not going to be difficult. But also we think that as the students are growing, like 2 years of experience they have, many of them working for interesting places, as well as they have their own innovation. So we see that there are many other way we can help them to grow. So for that, we need more in-person activity beyond this virtual one. And that's something as an organization, because we do not charge anything to our students or startups. So it is difficult. We need funding, foundation or financial partners who can help us to do this so that we can scale and do it beyond the thing that we do right now.
When you're working with startups, how do you decide who you're going to work with or what you have capacity to work with? What's your qualifiers?
So something we look for is like definitely that organization, product, service, whether it's an NGO, like startup can be an NGO too, a startup NGO, or a for-profit company. The product and service or their activities need to focus on climate. Either they're solving a social problem, which solution is something climate, or they're doing climate technology, which has also social impact. That's something we always look for. This is the first thing as a screening. Then we also see that how much the founder or important team member is willing to dedicate 6 weeks for this program. So, and willing to work closely with the student, because they're not only getting free solutions, they have responsibility towards the students by giving their best effort with information, learning, experience, and guiding them as a teacher. Although they're not working as a teacher, but like you are hiring someone in your junior team and you're investing your time and effort to grooming that person for the future of your organization, something like that. If that person has that time and passion, this is also very important. And the project itself need to be, sometimes we cannot take very complicated project which need lengthier time or very technical knowledge, because it is interdisciplinary students. We do not limit our student participation based on particular subject. So we want everyone to participate in having conversation and understand each other and do something together. So that's why sometimes we do not go for very like if it is so much technology, like 8 students need to come from all engineering background to solve that, then probably we can't do it at this moment. So these are the things we look for. Like one is commitment and passion for working with the students. Another one is their product services definitely need to address climate as well as social impact. And something is just feasible for the students to work on. And lastly, we also try to see that how much they're serious about that particular problem, that if anyhow our students solve it, they're going to do it in reality. Or we know that anything, even like in real in our case, like we develop something and after 2 months we make some changes, and if we see the entire journey from 0 to 100, we see there are so many times we evolve. So for the companies or startups, they need to, if we see that, okay, even the students' solution might not be the final goods, but this is one of the important piece to the final goods, and they're ready to make those iteration, and then we will definitely pick them, because short-term impact, if someone asks that, what is the short-term impact to CIC? This implementation of these startups, the solution
Yeah.
through them. And long-term impact is student graduating and working professionally, or the behavioral change happen within themselves, lifestyle or activities, those are long-term impact to the climate from CIC's point of view, I would say. Oh, one more
Are you
thing.
guys?
That
Yeah.
you asked me, like, what actually is the challenge? Finding right potential climate startup is another challenge. So if anyone knows like Climate Salad and many other organizations, we would like to have more conversation organizations like this, because I mean, till now we easily get climate startups, but we also start sensing that in one point our personal network will be all stress. So we need beyond that. So we need rightful partners who work with the startups so that they can nominate us. Look, okay, this startup we know and they need help. You guys can communicate and figure it out, something like this. So we need organization or people who can connect us more climate startups globally.
Are there particular industries that CIC wants to, and startups that CIC wants to work with this year or in the coming time period in the climate space?
I mean, I think one of the industries we would like to work on, like energy transition, like energy companies, like alternative energy to the fossil fuel. These are the organization. Although we have few in the past we worked, but this year we want to work more to this, because at the beginning we are not very much focusing to those particular industry, because we do not feel that we have enough expertise. So we need expertise from our side first, then we can work on such thing. But now, as we are more mature as an organization, we have a vast group of experienced mentalists who can able to support this, as well as our curriculum is more, like more furnished at this moment. So this year we are looking for more companies who are working towards green energy or system that can transition to from decarbonization, something like that. So carbon trading is something we had done, but more other industries we were looking for, because these are the thing I think most of the global south students are lag behind, because these sort of things mostly happen in the global north, right? Like Tesla or
Mm.
these new things are coming. So but also our student need to understand as soon as possible, because they can also develop in this shaping to this new system of energy, like replacing fossil fuel. I know that it might take many years, but still, like the first step is there, right? So
Mm.
from the very beginning, if we cannot define to this industry, because most of us is going to be impacted by this fossil fuel and the replacement, and we need to ask the right questions. We need to suggest the right sort of problem that we face or solutions from our end, so that we are one of the architect of this new transition, instead of like everything is built and now the world is telling us, okay, you have to do this like a factory work. Not like this, rather than like being active part of this. So here I think our student need more exposure to such thing, as well as not necessarily like startup needs to come from global south. Okay, it's coming from global north, as this program itself is very much engaging. Like there are pieces where each startup interact with each other. Through these interactions, the local global south startups also learn from these global north startups and see synergies, or like, okay, this is one part I can support you, and we can have a business deal between you and me, something like that. So this sort of collaboration we are looking for. Also, this is something big and we still need to work hard, like how we can create new economic proposition, like demand supply, the different big theories, and based on these theories the world is working, like capitalism, socialism. We need new theories to overcome this climate challenge, because one end we ask
Mm.
for luxury, like I want toilet inside my home, I need these fancy lights, air conditioner or heater in US, I need more individual car, etc., etc. We demand everything. Each of this demand is increasing the carbon emission, right? And also we have a deep huge mandate as a society to create jobs for every one of us, right? So one end we are asking this, another end we are expecting that world is going back like 200 years back, like the way it was, which is not possible. So we need a different new economic system. Again, I have no answer to this. I have just dreamed. One day, maybe come to my mind, or someone else come to in their mind, it will come, and we might solve the problem. But I think we need to realize that how the system works, because most of us do not, we just blame others instead of asking the right question to ourselves. What I actually did to this world to make these things like this, right? I'm
Yeah.
like, think about like a new president come to the US, and he's doing all the right thing from the very first day. I think within a week he's going to face big protest from big companies to the individuals to everyone, because people will start losing jobs and luxury will gone, right? One end, we're expecting that the president will do the right thing for the world or the country. Another end, we're expecting all the negative things, which is giving us pleasure as an individual. So we cannot, this is like a conflict, I think so. So this is something I think we need to come over, and this is something as a different startups or challenges coming to our program, and more I see students discussion, or also they ask me question, which put me in a position to think more and more to find answer. I think these are the area we would like to work this year and also in the coming years.
No, it was very inspirational. I love that idea of needing a new system, but not knowing what it is. I think we're all on board with that, right? Like,
If we, any
because
of us,
this,
I think if we can crack it, any of us will get a Nobel Prize. I think so.
I think I had this hashtag in my head of like a cooler world is a cooler world. And I think systems change is super difficult. I mean, it's just that's like a big monster. But I do think that people will glom on to if your neighbor has a cool car and you like their car and you want to get their car, and just so happens their car also emits, less carbon, that's a good thing. If your neighbor's like, hey, yeah, I'm like not paying anything for my power because I pull it from the sun because I invest in these panels or tiles or whatever it might be, that's a cooler world, right? Like so your fashions, you can do like fast fashion, but you're not very stylish. Or you can go like thrifting and get some super cool like vintage stuff, and now we all look like steampunks, and it's a much I don't know, but this idea of like a cooler world, can we envision a cooler world that's actually a cooler world? We're more healthy, we eat better food. It could come together. Systems change. I'm not so sure, but Wahid, I
yeah,
want to
well,
thank you so much for joining us, and we learned a lot, I think, and I think
did
what you're doing super inspiring, and we want you to keep on keeping on and bridging this conversation. So
Thank you, both of you. I mean, it's love to talk. I mean, the questions are is important, I guess. Like we all need question, and we need to. I mean, all the answer I do not have. I say that I do not know how to create this economy, how to do many of the things. But when I have the question and I know that this is important, constantly I'm thinking, I'm discussing, and one point I know that it will take somewhere, maybe not through me but someone else, because this is how the things happen. You need to talk more about these important issues. We need to realize our role to this world, not big, not small. Sometimes we feel that if we need to do positive thing, that's so much to do, like we need to become Martin Luther King. Not necessarily everyone has to go and speak in front of 250,000 people. You just need to speak with your family members. Also, you have other potential. So we all need to understand that our role is not big as well as it's not small. It is important. And we need to face right. I mean, we need to ask question as well as we need to face question too. So this is how I think we might able to achieve many of the challenges that we have. I mean, I have super hope to the youth as well as the world itself, because I think this world has faced many of these impossible challenges. Even 2 years back, like COVID, we were 2 3 years actually back. We were thinking that we're not going to survive. World is not going to be any more normal again. But we come out to this, and we fought very strongly. We made mistake, and I believe that all society, all individual human beings will not repeat the same mistake what we had done. Rather, we will try to learn from the failures that we had, and also make sure that the success that we have till now, we sustain with that too. So thank you so much for having me. It's nice to talk to you both.